Hey everyone, welcome back to another Consulting Success live stream. It is Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we're about to get right into it. All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about getting through fear, really pushing through fear and reaching and creating greater growth. So many of us encounter fear. And when we do, we tend not to act, right? We hesitate. Yet when you look at true entrepreneurial consultants, those that are in the elite level, those that are able to create more success, have more impact, more fulfillment, right? They're not people who settle. They're not people who just stay where they are in their comfort zone. So the first thing, and I'll bring up a little diagram on this in just a moment, but I want you to remember that if you aren't challenging yourself, if you're not, if you're feeling kind of fear, or if you're not feeling fear, right, then you're not going to be entering and kind of venturing into the zone of the unknown. But it is in the zone of the unknown, it is when you start to enter a new place, right, and do new things that you're able to create greater growth. And a real kind of way to think about this is that if you are always doing the same things, right? If you're just repeating the same things that you've always done, you're not going to be able to create new levels of growth because you've already achieved what's possible doing the things that you're currently doing. So breakthroughs and real success don't happen when you do what you just always done, right? There's that kind of, some people say like the definition of insanity, right, is doing like the same things that don't work, over and over, something along those lines. Well, it's the same when you think about reaching greater levels of growth in your business, right? You can't achieve those new breakthroughs just banging your head against the wall, trying to do the same things that you've always done. And I'll give you a quick example of this. Many consultants have a fear around building a team, and it's understandable, right? I've certainly felt that way, earlier on in my career. And in fact, many people go from being in the corporate world right into consulting because they're tired of managing teams and having kind of the stress and the training and all the different things that come with different teams, right? And so they want to remain lean and just do things themselves. But in most cases, the vast majority of times, when you want to be able to make a greater impact, when you want to be able to scale your business, when you want to actually be able to have a business that can run without your day-to-day involvement or without just you trading time for dollars, then you want to look at how you can leverage other people, other resources. And so a lot of people have a hesitation around that, right? They have fear. And so they resist building a team because they look at all of the challenges that can come with that, but they're not focused enough on the future, right? And so they stay in that zone of the known without wanting to, or I would say with hesitation to enter the zone of the unknown, right? Where they're going to do something new. But it's when you enter that zone of the unknown, it's when you really start to go to new places and push past the fears and the resistance and the hesitation that you have. That's when you're able to unlock great levels of success. And so what I want to share with you here, I'll bring up this diagram in just a moment, which I think you'll find really interesting, is to embrace the unknown, right? Go outside of your zone of comfort because that's where you're going to find true growth. And this, from a consulting context, right, it can happen in many different ways. This could be related to maybe bringing on a new person into your team, like making that first hire or making a new hire. It might be about investing into a new form of marketing. It might be investing into some kind of additional training or coaching. But often making some kind of investment or doing things that are different that you haven't done before. Maybe it's, following up or making calls or going, to places or trying to meet people that you haven't, maybe you're a bit of an introvert and that's not comfortable for you. There's things that you haven't done to this point that deep down inside, will help your business. They'll help you to make a greater impact. They'll allow you to create higher levels of success, but you're resisting it for some reason. And that's very normal. But that resistance, when you feel that fear, when you feel that kind of sense of being a little bit uncomfortable, and you tend to then kind of go back to doing the things you've always done before, when you have that feeling, that's the exact feeling. That's kind of the sign that you should keep going forward, that you should test what your thought is, right? To really start saying, does it work? How does it work? What can I learn from it? Because in the vast majority of situations, the worst that can happen for you, right, is not much, right? It's very unlikely that that you're going to die by trying something new, by making an investment, by bringing on a team member. I heard something this morning as I was running and listening to a podcast that so many people, when they think about, for example, bringing on a new team member, they think about a full like 1 year salary. And so let's just make that simple. Let's say it's $80,000 a year. So when people go into this idea of hiring somebody and bringing a new team member on, they're thinking that the risk for them is $80,000 a year. But in fact, that's not true. And we'll take this is not legal advice. And I know that different states and provinces and places in the world have different kind of regulations and restrictions and laws and that sort of stuff. But you can bring on new people, right, or a new person without making an $80,000 commitment, even though the salary might be $80,000 for a year, because you can bring that person on and try them out, right? Do a trial for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. And the commitment that you're making, right, is going to be whatever 1 month or whatever kind of one pay period is, as opposed to it being 12 months of pay. And so the risk isn't actually as big as you think. And that's what I've seen with so many situations and so many consultants over the years, that you often will extend or kind of extrapolate out the risk and make it as big as possible. But if you can actually look at it from a different perspective, you can see the risk can actually be smaller than you think that it is. So how many of you here, just type into the comment box, chat box, where do you feel you've maybe had some hesitation in the past? Or where are you feeling it now? Is it around building your team? Is it around increasing your fees? Is it around trying new marketing? Is it investing into working with a coach or doing some training? Where are you feeling some resistance right now? Type into the comment box. I'd love to see, and we can have a little conversation about that. But I want to go ahead as well, as you guys are typing that in, and I appreciate if you can do that. I want to share my screen, and I want to bring up a file that I think you'll find very interesting. Let me just get it here. So there we go. Hopefully, let me know if you guys can see this. Just type in the comment box. If you're on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook, let me know if you can see my screen right now. That would be appreciated if you can let me know that you can. Hopefully you can. So first of all, I want to thank Savo and our team for finding this diagram. I think it's a really great one. So just to give it the appropriate kind of source, this is from positivepsychology.com. And I think this is very true and a really powerful visual to look at. So let's just kind of break this down together, everyone. So what we have here kind of at the core of this is the comfort zone. And the comfort zone is where you feel safe and in control. And this is why, right, human nature, for so many people, you just want to remain in the comfort zone because it's comfortable, right? It makes sense. Why put yourself through challenges and potentially getting knocked down, right, if you could just stay feeling safe and in control? Well, if you want to always remain in that zone, then you're not going to create great levels of growth. You're not going to be able to make a big impact. You're not going to be able to truly realize your full potential. And you certainly would not be a good fit for building a business, right? For being an entrepreneur, what we call an entrepreneurial consultant. And the reason for that is that in order to build a business, in order to be an entrepreneur, in order to make greater impact, to realize your potential, to achieve higher levels of success, you can't stay in that bubble of the comfort zone at all times, right? Because growth, as we'll see here in a moment, happens as you exit that. Now, what actually happens is people are in that comfort zone, right? Trying to feel comfortable at all times. And they have desires, right? They want to solve problems, or they want to reach kind of new goals or achieve new things. And so as they start moving towards the growth zone, where actually things start to materialize, where results really start to take shape and you start to benefit from them and see them, right? You have to go through the fear zone. And so this second ring is the fear zone. And that's where you start to be affected by other people's opinions, right? You find excuses and reasons not to do things. And because you're worried about what people might say, or actually what people do say, and you might not always get the encouragement that you desire. And because you're doing something new, right, you're typically going to have some anxiety or some fears. And therefore, you're going to feel a lack of self-confidence or a lack of self-esteem at times. Now, especially if you tend to be someone that has always played in that comfort zone, and as soon as you enter kind of, get into that second ring of the fear zone, that you retreat back into the comfort zone, right? You're not going to be able to create greater results. You're not going to be able to achieve the things that you want, but you're just going to always retreat back, and you'll never be able to move to these other rings. Now, recognizing, and I should actually just say for a moment that if you're new to this, if you're new to having this kind of mindset, just know that this is completely normal, that everyone goes through this. And there's no shame in being in the comfort zone, going to the fear zone and going back to the comfort zone, a few times as part of your process, as part of learning. That's the development. But I can tell you that every entrepreneur, every successful business owner, everyone that has achieved a real, impact and levels of success beyond where they started, well, they've also done that back and forth at times. But as you become more attuned and as you start to become more comfortable, or you achieve, more progress through these rings, when you try something new, you will still enter that fear zone, but you will not look back, right? You will not look back at the comfort zone. Instead, you understand that the feelings that you're having are all part of it. Yes, somebody said something that didn't make you feel good. Okay, but you keep going. Oh yeah, I don't really want to pick up the phone and call somebody because I don't want to come across as being salesy, or it doesn't feel like I should sell what I have to offer, but I know I need to do it. And so you make the phone call, right? This is what kind of building a business is all about, right? This is what entrepreneurship is about. This is really just, if you think about achieving more than what you have today, right? Realizing your potential, whether it's in a creative, artistic pursuit, or it's in the business world, you need to go through these rings. So the third ring, once you pass the fear zone, go, okay, yeah, I don't feel comfortable. I have some fear. Maybe I have some anxiety around this. I could think of all different reasons not to do what I know I need to do, but I'm going to brush those excuses off. Then you enter the learning zone. And the learning zone is where you start to actually see these new things all around you. You see, some of these new opportunities. You're acquiring skills because you're doing new things that you haven't done before, right? And if we take that, the concept of, let's say, making a phone call or going to an event that you typically didn't like to go to events, well, now you're showing up, now you're trying to meet people, you're learning how to interact, you're learning how to ask great questions, right? You're learning how to how to talk about what it is that you're doing, right? So you're also learning how to deal with challenges and problems, and you're extending your comfort zone, which I think this is actually a really cool concept that they have in this diagram. And it's true, right? You're stretching yourself. So before you were just staying in the comfort zone, a little bit into the fear, coming back. Well, now as you enter that learning zone, right, you're stretching what your comfort zone is. It's not as small as it was before. It becomes bigger. And as you're working through to acquire new skills in the learning zone, what you're also doing is starting to enter into the growth zone. And this is where, they have things where it says like, find your purpose, live your dreams, set new goals, realize aspirations. And I think those are all great. But to be even more direct, the growth zone is where you actually start seeing the results of what you've been learning. So you can learn new things and you can attempt to create the result that you want, but you may not see it right away. And this is also where at times people will try something new. Let's say you're trying a new approach to your marketing, or a new approach in your sales, or your proposals or fees, or how you talk about things. And if you don't get the results that you want right away, what some people then do is they go right back into that fear zone, and then they go and hunker back down in the comfort zone. And so they've stretched their comfort zone a little bit, but they haven't actually accomplished what they set out to do. When you enter the growth zone, you start to see the results of what you've been doing in the learning zone. And then it's very hard to go back, right? Then you don't want to go back because you're seeing the results of all of your hard work. You recognize in your mind that, hey, this wasn't easy for me. I felt really uncomfortable doing it, but it actually worked out okay. Or I'm starting to see, I really now believe that it will work out. And so you give yourself permission to play and to stay longer in that zone of where real growth happens. And then you're able to actually tick that off your list. So whatever it was that you initially had some fear around, you've pushed yourself past that. And now you know that you can do it. And so whether it's going to an event, whether it's trying some new marketing, whether it's investing into working, with coaches or doing training, or whether, whatever it might be, you can now kind of tick that off and go, yeah, this is an area that I have now acquired. It's something that I can now turn into a habit. It's something that I feel really good about, or that I'm at least more confident about, right? So you get that self-esteem. And that's why it's so important that you take action, because when you take action, right, action leads to progress and to results. And when you start to see progress and results, then you feel more confident. And when you feel more confident, right, then you tend to do more of what you started to do. When you do more of what you started to do, right, you're then able to achieve greater and greater results, because it's like a kind of a reinforcing cycle, right? But if you don't take action initially because you have the fear, you're not going to see the progress or results that you want. And then you're also because you're not seeing the results and progress that you want, you're not going to feel really confident. You're still going to have lower self-esteem around that area. But if you say, okay, well, I'm going to venture from the comfort zone into the fear zone. I know I have to cross that bridge of fear, but I'm going to do it because I want to get into the learning zone. And when you get there, you start to see, okay, I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable. And then you get into the growth zone where you actually start to see some results. Well, that's exciting, right? Because now you're going, well, it's actually working. I want to do more of it. And so you take more action, you make more progress, you see more results. And again, your level of confidence increases. So this is a concept that I think is really important for every entrepreneurial consultant. If you simply want to do the work, if you simply want to be a consultant, if you simply want to, be a contractor, then that's fine. You may not need to embrace this mindset of growth. But if you want to be an entrepreneurial consultant, if you want to build a business, if you want to be able to make a greater impact on those that you truly want to serve, if you want to achieve higher levels of, I would say, fulfillment, realizing your potential, right, and truly achieving what you thought or think that you could, but actually starting to see that come together, and to achieve higher levels of success, then you want to embrace that whole process. You want to understand that's part of the journey. There's no way not to go through that layer of fear. The only way really is to go through it. And then you look back and you go, I got through it. There's nothing to be scared of. Like maybe it wasn't the most comfortable, right? But I did it. Awesome. I don't know who put the little thumbs up there, but thank you guys. I hope this is resonating. Go ahead. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment box. Does this resonate with you? How do you feel about this? Okay, I'm seeing many here. People put some stuff in here. Setting fees is an area that you felt maybe some resistance or fear around. Several people saying that. Writing proposals with options, perceived size of commitments. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so looks like a lot of people saying around fees. Thanks for sharing that, everyone. So yeah, we got people coming in from LinkedIn, from YouTube. I don't know if anyone's here from Facebook yet, but welcome to all of you here. So that's what I wanted to share with you all today. Now, we also got a question that came in. Hey, Nick, great to see you. Bob as well. Robin, Israel, Diana, Jose, William, Meshrin. I hope I get your name correctly. Chipupu. Welcome, everyone. Great to have you all on the call here. Kathy, great to see you as well. So I wanted to take a question that came in. And just as a quick reminder, everyone, so we do this live stream every Tuesday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you go to consultingsuccess.com/stream, STREAM, you can submit a question. And then I'll try and do my best to take that question in the following week's live stream. So the question that came in today, hey, Scott, great to see you, man. So the question that came in today, let me just bring it up. It was from David Trainer. So David, thank you for submitting that. And the question there's two parts to it. So the first part was, I'm aware that there are very few consultants who still charge by the hour. Why is this? And under what circumstances might you charge by the hour? So I thought this is actually really interesting because I see this a little bit differently. I think there's still actually many consultants that charge by the hour. And it's because they don't know better. And what I mean by that, not to be rude or offensive. I mean, if you charge by the hour, that's what you do. But in the vast majority of situations, if you're charging by the hour, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. And it's because you're trading your time for dollars, right? And you're not connecting your fee in most cases to the value or the return on investment. And so when you're charging by the hour, as so many other people are charging by the hour, you become a bit of a commodity. The other challenge with this, just very quick recap on the danger of hourly fees, is that if you're charging on an hourly basis, right, then so I said you're trading time for dollars, but the other part of it too is that there's going to be a cap, right? At some point, a buyer's going to go, well, yeah, I don't really feel comfortable paying $750 an hour or $500 an hour or whatever your fee level is. But in order for you to achieve greater premium fees, if you actually break down on an hourly basis, there's many very successful entrepreneurial consultants who are able to charge $500, $750, $1,000, $2,000 an hour, in some cases even more, right? You can't capture that on an hourly basis. I mean, it's really, really challenging to be able to command those levels of fees, even if you're a veteran consultant. But when you put it as part of a package, when you put it as part of a project, you focus more on value, you focus more on return on investment, then you're actually able to land at those levels and to have those levels of fees accepted. So you asked here, why is this, and in what circumstances might you charge by the hour? So first part I would say is I think actually a lot of consultants still use hourly fees, even though in most cases we are against that concept. I think there's it's not the best way to charge if you're a consultant. Now, why is this? Well, there are certain situations where charging on kind of an hourly basis might make sense. How many of you here, just type in your thoughts, where do you think it would make sense to charge by the hour? Let's see here. William's saying one problem with hourly rate. I'll just bring this up here for a second. Hourly rate is that the better you get, the less you make. A problem I'm facing right now. Yeah, very good comment there, William. Well said. I mean, yeah, right. You get penalized essentially for being able to deliver a result faster, right? Because let's say that it used to take you 2 hours to do something, and now you can do the same thing for the client in 30 minutes. Very simple example. Well, that would mean that you get, if you're getting paid on an hourly basis, right, you're going to get paid for 30 minutes, not for the 2 hours, but you're able to deliver the value and the result to the client even faster. Well, wouldn't the client, I mean, the 30 minutes, 2 hours, probably the best example. Let's say maybe it took you 4 weeks to deliver and now it only takes you 1 week. Well, it's to your client's benefit if you can deliver the result in 1 week instead of having to wait 4 weeks, right? So they should actually be paying you more, not less, because they're getting a result and benefit that they desired even sooner. So that's another problem, right, with hourly fees. But here's why some people might want to use hourly fees. If you are brand new, if you are new to the world of consulting, if you're not sure how to charge, right, if you're still just kind of figuring things out, there's nothing wrong with starting in a bit of an hourly basis to just understand how long will something take. Because it is challenging to say, yeah, this project's going to be $50,000, only to find out that it's going to actually take you a lot longer, and maybe you're bringing other contractors into it, and now all of a sudden, you've got the client to accept the $50,000 fee, but it's actually going to take you $60,000 or $75,000 in time, in contractors, whatever it might be, and so you might actually lose money on that project. So that's one area where if you're doing something brand new, it's important for you to really understand how long does something take. And then once you have that experience, then you can flip it, right? And for the next projects going forward, you can do it more based on value and more of a project-based fee. The other area where sometimes it may make sense, although I'm still not the biggest fan of it, is if you're working in an area of work where there's a lot of unknowns. So we have an article, if you go to consultingsuccess.com and you type in, like R&D pricing, if you even Google, if you type in R&D pricing, consulting success, you'll see we have an article about this, because there's many people that are in kind of the world of science, research and development, who the areas that they work on, you can't necessarily connect directly to, let's say, increase in sales, or like they're doing new work, right? They don't necessarily have a definitive end to their project. They're exploring things. They're looking for things, right? They're trying new things. And so we found that in some cases, consultants in those areas may stick to an hourly fee longer, because again, they're dealing with a lot of unknowns. However, if you, again, go to Google, type in R&D pricing, consulting success, you'll find that article, and we break down for you ways to, even if you're in that space, ways for you to charge focused or using more value, return on investment. And there's a lot of different ways to do it, right? You can come with a monthly retainer. You can package, for example, like a set program. You can have different stages or phases of the project. So there's many different ways to do this. Now, this is the first part of the question, right? When would it make sense to use hourly fees? The second part of your question there that came in, I believe it was David, was how do you evaluate and justify how to charge based on the problem you are solving? And I think really what you're asking here, David, is how do you come up with value-based fees or return, a clear return on investment and kind of ROI pricing, as we often describe it. And the way to do that is it all starts with the questions that you ask, right? If you ask really great questions to the buyer, you can then start to identify the value that the project will create. And it might be as simple as it's going to add an extra $1 million to their business in the next 12 to 18 months. It might be not as clear cut as that. Maybe you're doing strategic planning type of work. We have many clients in our Clarity program who do some form of kind of strategic planning work, and the work they're doing doesn't directly create, let's say, new revenue, but without having that plan, the company, their client, is unlikely to be able to achieve, right, their goals. And then their goals might be, if they're a nonprofit, it might be more funds to support a community or an initiative, or it might be even just greater sales. So the whole idea is that it doesn't matter how tangible or intangible the value is, right? It could be sales increase, it could be employee turnover kind of reduction, it could be productivity improvements, it could be multiple different areas. But once you're clear on what is the value of the project to the buyer, right, to that ideal client, and you start to dig deeper and deeper. I often describe this as like an onion, right? What many consultants will do when you're kind of earlier stage, or if you don't know how to do this properly, you'll just ask questions that are like surface level of the onion, right? It's like, basic questions. But once you start peeling back, it's like, okay, so if you do the strategic plan, right? Why do you want the strategic plan? Oh, we want it because of this. Well, okay, when you have that, then what happens? How does that benefit the organization? Well, if you didn't have that, what are you concerned about? Okay, so and when you have that, what would be the goal? What would you like to see within the next 12 months? Like, what would success look like for you there? So if you start kind of continue to peel these layers of the onion back, you get to the core, and then you truly understand the value, both tangible and intangible, right? And once you have that understanding, now you're able to come up with what your fees should be. And there's different formulas to kind of approach this, but the whole idea, if we just get if we maybe just put this a bit of from a high level concept, is that you want to arrive at a level of fees that provides great value to the buyer, meaning that they look at it and go, yeah, okay, you're going to help us to add an extra $1 million to our business, or 10 million or 100 million or whatever it is, right? Or you're going to help us to reduce our employee turnover, because right now we're having an average of 1 employee a month leaving. It's costing us about $350,000 a year in recruiting and hiring and training and firing and benefits, blah, 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 right? So you're going to help us to eliminate that over the next 6 months. And so we're going to save 350 a year, 2 years, that's 750. Okay. So that's the value to us. And your fee is 150,000 or something along those lines, right? Well, there's a clear benefit, right? Your client, the buyer, is going to be much, much better off. You're going to be able to receive your fee typically significantly more than if you're charging just on an hourly basis. And some people might look and go, well, yeah, like 150, that sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot when you compare it to the value that is being created for the client. And so that's where you want to put your focus, always on the value that is going to be created for the buyer. And that all starts with asking really great questions, right? Deep, meaningful questions, going to the core. Don't just ask a surface level question and move on. Ask deep, meaningful questions. And when you do that, you'll be able to really identify the value, the potential return on investment. And then it's as simple as having that conversation with a buyer to ensure that they too see that value. It's not about you saying, yeah, here's the value for you and trying to persuade them. No, it's having a conversation with the buyer so they themselves see the value. And when they see the value, right, then it's much easier for you to connect your fees to that value, to that return on investment. So I hope that answered your question. Ian, I don't know actually if it was you asking that question. I thought maybe it was in my notes here. It was David, but looks like you have a similar last name. So I hope that answered your question, Ian, if that was you. And everyone, if you have other questions that you want to me to cover in next week's live stream, please go to consultingsuccess.com/stream, STREAM, and submit your question. Let us know and we'll try and take it in next week's session. As always, if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, then the little bell icon. You'll be notified when we do new live streams and new videos go live. We're putting out lots of new content. If you're on LinkedIn, hit the follow button or send a connection request and just let me know. Make sure you put a message in there and let me know that you're coming from the live stream. Several of you have done that and reached out, and I've been very happy to accept. It's always great to kind of build community and connect with you guys when I know that you're part of this. And if you're on Facebook, just follow or do whatever you need to do there. And that way you'll be notified when we put out new videos, new content. We have a lot of new podcast episodes as well going live. So I want to thank you all so much for coming on here today. Let me just see if there's any questions that came in. There's a lot going on here. I appreciate all of your comments, guys and gals. Yeah, so a lot of good stuff coming in here. Just trying to go through it all. So yeah, Diagen, great to see you. Yeah, you're saying when the scope of the work is not well determined, hourly fee can make sense. You're better protected. Yeah, good point. I mean, again, if you're new, then that's important. Felix is saying government contracts typically want a breakdown of hourly rate. Yeah, there's certain industries, right, where an hourly rate is more common. Doesn't mean that just because others do it is what you have to do, but there is a place for it. Certainly. Patrick's saying coaching the client, CEO, or high-level goal setting pre-project. So Patrick, I'm not sure what you were asking about there, or if that was in response to somebody else. Let me know in the comment though. Olenka, you're saying what payment plan would you advise someone who was planning to start consultancy? Keep in mind PayPal. Yeah, I mean, that's a great, so I don't think I can answer that question for you, Olenka, without knowing more about your specific situation. But feel free to reach out and we'll see how we can support you. Don't want to give anyone here the wrong information, so I want to make sure that it's on point. Listen, guys, thank you all so much. Lots of great comments coming in here. If you had a question that I couldn't get to, just go to consultingsuccess.com/stream. Simply just put in your name, your question. That's all we ask. You don't get any other kind of emails. It's just only for this purpose. But I really appreciate so many of you have been coming on. And please share this with your friends, your colleagues, anyone that you think might appreciate some insights into building a successful consulting business. We want to get more entrepreneurial consultants to join these calls live. The more people that we have, the more interaction, right? The more it's going to help us to do more of this as well. So please like, share, follow, whatever you need to do. Thank you all so much. And if anyone here wants some support or has a question about building your consulting business and you want a resource, feel free to get in touch with us. You can send an email to info@consultingsuccess.com. We may have a free resource or one of our programs that we can direct you to, but we'll be happy to do what we can to help. All right, guys, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care and keep taking action. Bye for now.